The sun hangs like a malevolent eye over the East African savanna, its heat rippling across endless grasslands that stretch to the horizon. This is the Pliocene epoch, 3.7 million years before the first human will walk upright with true confidence. The world is raw, unforgiving, and magnificent in its brutality. In this landscape, every moment is a negotiation between life and death. A small band of Australopithecus afarensis moves through the tall grass with cautious purpose. 23 individuals, mostly females and juveniles, with 3 adult males scanning the perimeter. They are not yet human, but they are no longer merely apes. Standing roughly 3.5 feet tall, these creatures represent one of evolution's most ambitious experiments: bipedal primates attempting to conquer a landscape designed to kill them. Among this group, clinging to her mother's sparse hair, is a female carrying something rare in the Pliocene world: twins. Not one infant, but 2. In an environment where a single baby represents an enormous investment of resources and energy, twins are almost a death sentence. The mother, whom we might call Asha in our modern understanding, is exhausted. She has been nursing 2 infants for nearly 8 months, and her body shows it. Her ribs are visible beneath her dark skin, her movements slower than the others. Every calorie she consumes must now feed 3 bodies. The twins, a male and female, cling to different parts of her body. The male, stronger and slightly larger, grips her chest. The female, smaller by perhaps 10%, holds onto her back. They are at that dangerous age where they are too heavy to carry constantly, but too young to keep pace with the group's movement. In the modern world, human twins at this developmental stage would be roughly 9 months old. But these are not humans. These are our distant ancestors, and their world operates by different rules. The group is traveling. They have been walking since dawn, covering nearly 4 miles in search of a fruiting fig tree that one of the older females remembers from the previous season. Water is scarce. The dry season has transformed much of their territory into a desiccated landscape where every water source becomes a killing ground, a place where predators wait with infinite patience for desperate prey. Asha struggles. With each step, the weight of her twins drags at her strength. The male twin has begun to slip, his grip weakening. She adjusts him, but in doing so, the female on her back loses her hold and tumbles into the grass. The infant makes a small cry, not loud, but in this environment, any sound is dangerous. Asha stops immediately, torn between retrieving her fallen daughter and maintaining her grip on her son. This is when everything changes. A sound erupts from the west, a deep, coughing roar that freezes every member of the group. It is the call of Dinofelis, the false saber-toothed cat. Smaller than the famous Smilodon that will evolve millions of years later, Dinofelis is nonetheless a supreme predator of this era. Weighing approximately 300 pounds, with crushing jaws and retractable claws, it specializes in hunting primates. Australopithecus afarensis is its preferred prey. The group explodes into panic. The defensive formation collapses instantly as each individual makes the terrible calculation that governs all prey animals: better you than me. The adult males, whose supposed role is protection, are among the first to flee. In Australopithecus society, male investment in offspring is minimal. These males have no certainty that any of these infants carry their genes. and evolution has not yet installed the complex paternal behaviors that will one day characterize humanity. Asha faces an impossible choice. She can see the grass moving where her daughter fell. She can hear the infant's distressed vocalizations, but the male twin on her chest is already secure, and the predator is close. Her body makes the decision her mind cannot. She runs. The evolutionary calculus is brutal. One infant saved is better than two dead. The male twin has always been stronger, always fed more efficiently. He is the better investment. She runs with the group, and within seconds they have covered 50 yards. The tall grass swallows them. The savanna returns to its deceptive stillness. But the Dinofelis was not hunting the group. It was pursuing a young antelope, which it catches with explosive speed 200 yards to the south. The false alarm was just that, false. But the damage is done. In the grass, two infants now lie abandoned. Because in her panic, Asha did not just leave her daughter. The male twin, weakened by his near fall, lost his grip during her flight. He tumbled into the same patch of grass, landing roughly 6 feet from his sister. Both twins are now alone, their mother's scent fading with each passing second as the group moves farther away. The male infant begins to cry, a high-pitched distress call that in normal circumstances would bring immediate maternal response. His sister joins him. Their duet is primal, desperate, and incredibly dangerous. Every predator within a quarter mile can hear the sound of helpless prey. But something else also hears them. 300 yards away, Asha stops running. The group continues without her, and she lets them go. She stands perfectly still, her body trembling, her breathing rapid. The choice her body made in panic is now being overridden by something deeper, something that will one day become the foundation of human love, but which, in this moment, is simply a biochemical imperative. Oxytocin and prolactin flood her system. The sound of her infant's cries creates physical pain in her chest, an agony that rivals hunger or thirst. She begins to move back toward the sound. Not running, that would attract attention. She moves low, using the terrain, her brain calculating predator positions with the unconscious genius of 3 million years of prey evolution. Her hands shake. Her eyes are wide. She is terrified. But she is going back. This is the beginning of 72 hours that will test the absolute limits of juvenile Australopithecus survival capability. 72 hours during which these twins will face challenges that would kill adult members of their species. 72 hours that will reveal something profound about the emergence of the traits that will one day make us human. The sun is now directly overhead. The temperature is approaching 110 degrees Fahrenheit. In the grass, the twins have stopped crying, exhausted by their own fear. They huddle together instinctively, their small bodies pressed against each other. This contact serves multiple functions: thermal regulation, predator defense, psychological comfort. They do not understand why their mother's scent is gone. They do not understand that they are now among the most vulnerable creatures on the planet. They only know that they are together and that they are afraid. 300 yards away, Asha is closing the distance, but she is not alone in her interest. 30 yards to the east, a different mother is also moving through the grass. A spotted hyena, one of the most successful predators of this era, has heard the infant's cries. She too has young to feed, 3 cubs in a den 2 miles distant. In the economy of the Pliocene, These abandoned Australopithecus twins represent approximately 6 pounds of easily acquired protein. The race is on. Mother against mother. Primate against carnivore. Love against hunger. And the twins, unaware of the deadly convergence happening around them, simply hold each other and wait for a world that has already forgotten they exist. The grass moves in 2 different directions. The wind carries the scent of prey, the scent of milk, the scent of fear. Somewhere in the distance, a vulture begins to circle, its phenomenal eyesight detecting something small and helpless in the vegetation below. The savanna watches. The savanna waits. The savanna has seen this drama 10,000 times before, and it will see it 10,000 times again. But for these twins, for this mother, for this moment, it is the only time that matters. 72 hours have begun. The first night. Asha reaches her twins as the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon. The journey back took her nearly 45 minutes, an eternity in Pliocene time, where every second without the protection of the group multiplies danger exponentially. She finds them exactly where they fell, still pressed together in the grass, their small bodies trembling, not from cold, but from the primal understanding that something is terribly wrong. The reunion is silent. Asha does not vocalize. Sound is death in this environment. She simply gathers both infants to her body, the male to her chest, the female to her back, and begins moving immediately. But moving where? The group is gone. She watched them disappear toward the northeast, toward the seasonal water source near the acacia grove. They will not wait for her. They will not return. In Australopithecus society, the group's survival supersedes individual loyalty. She has made her choice, and that choice has exiled her. She is now alone with 2 infants in the most dangerous landscape on Earth. The spotted hyena that was stalking the twins melts back into the grass. Asha's arrival has changed the calculation. An adult Australopithecus afarensis is not easy prey, not impossible, but not easy. The hyena is a pragmatist. Better to wait and see if circumstances improve. Better to follow and watch for weakness. Hyenas are among nature's most patient hunters, capable of tracking potential prey for days, waiting for injury or exhaustion to provide opportunity. Asha knows she is being followed. She can smell the hyena's distinctive odor, a mixture of musk and carrion that marks all members of the Crocuta genus. Her eyes scan constantly, but she sees nothing. The predator has become invisible, a ghost in the grass. This is psychological warfare, and the hyena is winning. Fear is exhausting. Constant vigilance depletes energy reserves faster than physical exertion. She needs shelter. The open savanna offers none. Australopithecus afarensis is adapted for grassland living, but adaptation does not mean mastery. These creatures are bipedal because the trees became scarce, not because they prefer ground living. Every instinct in Asha's body screams for the safety of branches, for the vertical refuge that her arboreal ancestors enjoyed. But the nearest substantial tree is over a mile away, an impossible journey with 2 infants while being stalked. Then she remembers something. 300 yards to the south, there is a rock formation, a small koppie, one of the granite outcroppings that dot this landscape like ancient monuments. She has passed it many times with the group. It is not ideal. It offers no food, no water, but it offers something more valuable in this moment: elevation and a defensible position. She changes direction. The movement is risky. By breaking from the northward path, she may be moving away from the group's trajectory. If they decide to look for her tomorrow, unlikely but possible, they will search along the route to the water source. By going south, she is severing that final thread of potential rescue. But the night is coming, and night in the Pliocene belongs to the predators. The twins sense the urgency in their mother's movement. The male has stopped his periodic whimpering. The female grips tighter, her small fingers digging into Asha's skin hard enough to draw blood. They are learning the first lesson of survival. Silence is life. 20 minutes of steady walking brings them to the kopje. It rises perhaps 15 feet above the surrounding grassland, not impressive by geological standards, but sufficient for Asha's purpose. The granite is warm from the day's sun, almost hot to the touch. Boulders of various sizes cluster at the base, creating small spaces and overhangs. Asha begins to climb. Her bipedalism, so advantageous for covering distance on flat ground, now becomes a liability. Australopithecus afarensis is a compromised species, capable of walking upright but retaining significant climbing adaptations. Her feet are still partially prehensile. Her arms are long relative to her legs. Her fingers are curved for gripping. She is neither a perfect terrestrial animal nor a perfect arboreal one. She is something in between, and in this moment, that in-between nature makes the climb treacherous, with 2 infants attached to her body. She ascends slowly, testing each handhold. The male twin is heavy on her chest, throwing off her center of gravity. Twice she nearly falls. Her breathing becomes labored. But she continues upward, driven by the knowledge that down below, in the grass, the hyena is watching, waiting. Finally, she reaches a ledge approximately 12 feet above the ground. It is a narrow shelf, perhaps 4 feet deep and 6 feet wide, sheltered by an overhang that will provide protection from above. It is not perfect. The twins could easily roll off the edge if she sleeps. But it is defensible. No predator can approach without climbing, and climbing makes noise, provides warning. She settles onto the rock with her back against the granite face. Both twins immediately begin nursing. They are frantic with hunger and fear, pulling at her with desperate intensity. She allows it, though she knows her milk production has decreased. The stress of the day, the missed feeding opportunities, the dehydration, all have reduced her supply. The twins will not get enough. They will sleep hungry. But hungry and alive is better than the alternative. As they nurse, she watches the savanna below. The sun is touching the horizon now, painting the landscape in shades of amber and gold that would be beautiful if they were not so ominous. This is the dangerous hour, the transition time when diurnal predators are finishing their hunts and nocturnal predators are beginning theirs. It is a time of maximum chaos, when the rules are unclear and anything can happen. She sees movement in the grass. The hyena has revealed itself, sitting roughly 40 yards from the base of the kopje. It is a female, as she suspected. Larger than the males of her species, weighing perhaps 130 pounds, with powerful jaws capable of crushing bone. The hyena is not hiding anymore. She is announcing her presence, claiming this territory, establishing a siege. Asha understands the message. The hyena is saying, "I can wait. I can wait longer than you can. Eventually, you will have to descend for water. Eventually, exhaustion will make you careless. Eventually, one of those infants will make a mistake." The sun disappears. Twilight in the tropics is brief, perhaps 20 minutes between day and full darkness. Asha uses this time to scan for other threats. She sees nothing immediately dangerous, but that means little. The Pliocene night conceals horrors that even she, with her prey animal's paranoia, cannot fully anticipate. Then the darkness comes, and with it, the sounds. The African night is not silent. It is a symphony of horror, a cacophony of screams, roars, and death. Within the first hour, Asha hears at least 7 different predator species announcing their presence. The coughing roar of Dinofelis, the whooping calls of hyena packs communicating across the savanna, the sharp bark of hunting Lycaon, the African wild dog. Something that sounds like a bear, but is actually Agriotherium, a massive predator that will go extinct in another 1,000,000 years. And underneath it all, the constant, nerve-shredding shrieks of dying animals. Antelope, zebra, smaller primates. The twins have finished nursing and fallen into exhausted sleep, one on each side of her body. She does not sleep. She cannot sleep. Every sound might be a threat approaching. Every rustle in the grass below might be a predator testing the defenses. Her eyes are adapted for daylight, nearly useless in this darkness. She can see only shapes, shadows, movements. Her other senses compensate. Her hearing becomes preternaturally acute. Her sense of smell sharpens. 3 hours after nightfall, she hears something climbing. The sound is subtle, claws on granite, the scrape of pads against stone. Something is ascending the kopje from the eastern side, out of her direct line of sight. Her body goes rigid. She calculates rapidly. If she moves to investigate, she might dislodge the sleeping twins. If she stays still, the climber might reach the ledge uncontested. She chooses a middle path. She begins to vocalize, not the distress calls that would attract every predator within earshot, but a low, threatening growl. It is not a sound Australopithecus makes frequently. Her species relies on group defense, on numbers and noise. Solo threat displays are rare, but she produces it now, summoning some ancient genetic memory from her more aggressive ancestors. The climbing stops. Silence. Then the sound of descent, rapid, scrambling. Whatever it was has decided the confrontation is not worth the risk. She has won this encounter, but the victory is temporary. The climber will return, or something else will come. The night is long, and she is just one small primate with 2 helpless infants on a rock in the middle of a killing field. The temperature drops. In the desert-like conditions of the dry season savanna, night temperatures can fall 40 degrees from the day's peak. Asha's body is not well adapted for this. Australopithecus afarensis has lost much of the body hair that covered her ancestors, an adaptation for heat dissipation during long-distance walking in the sun. But this adaptation becomes a liability at night. She shivers. The twins, pressed against her body, absorb her warmth like tiny parasites, leaving her colder still. She pulls them closer. The male twin, in his sleep, makes a small sound, almost a purr. It is a sound of contentment, of safety, of trust. In this moment, pressed against his mother on a rock in the darkness, with death circling below, he feels safe. His brain is not complex enough to understand their situation. He knows only that he is warm, recently fed, and touching the body that represents his entire universe. Asha feels something that has no name in her limited consciousness. It is not quite what we would call love. That requires a level of abstract thinking she does not possess. But it is something. It is the reason she came back, the reason she is here, cold and terrified and alone, instead of safe with the group. It is the evolutionary foundation upon which love will eventually be built, millions of years in the future. Midnight passes. The moon rises, a waxing crescent that provides minimal light, but enough for Asha to see the hyena has been joined by two others. 3 females now sit in a semicircle around the copy's base. They are not attempting to climb. They are not even watching constantly. They are simply there, waiting with the infinite patience of successful predators. They have cubs to feed, but they are not desperate. Not yet. They can afford to wait. Asha realizes, with a clarity that cuts through her exhaustion, that she is in a war of attrition she cannot win. She has no water. She ate nothing today. Her milk production will continue to decline. By tomorrow night, she will be significantly weaker. By the night after that, she may not have the strength to defend against even a determined climbing attempt. The situation is unsustainable. But what can she do? Descend and try to reach water? The hyenas would take one or both twins in the confusion. Stay here and wait for rescue that will not come? They will die of thirst within 3 days, 4 at most. The mathematics of survival are brutal and unforgiving. She does not have the cognitive capacity to think through these scenarios in the abstract, logical way a human might. But she understands at a visceral level that she is trapped. Every option leads to death. As the night deepens, something changes. The hyenas below suddenly stand, their attention focused on something to the west. They vocalize, not the whooping hunting calls, but sharp, aggressive barks. They are facing off against something. The 3 females move together, forming a defensive line, backing away from the copy. Asha strains to see what has disturbed them. At first, nothing. Then movement, something large pushing through the grass. Not running, just walking with casual confidence. The moonlight catches it for a moment, and Asha's blood goes cold. Machairodus. A true saber-toothed cat, significantly larger than Dinophilis, weighing perhaps 500 pounds. An apex predator that fears nothing in this landscape. The long canines that give the species its name catch the moonlight like ivory daggers. The hyenas retreat. They are brave, but they are not stupid. A Machairodus is not prey. It is a competitor that can kill any one of them with a single bite. They melt into the darkness, abandoning their siege without hesitation. Better to find easier prey than to compete with this. But the cat is not hunting the hyenas. It is hunting water. The dry season has even the apex predators desperate. The great cat passes within 20 yards of the copy, its massive head swinging slowly as it scans for threats. It does not look up. It does not detect the small family on the ledge above. It simply continues on its way, a living embodiment of death, moving with terrible grace through the night. When it is gone, when the sound of its passage has faded, Asha allows herself to breathe again. The hyenas do not return. Dawn is perhaps 3 hours away. She has survived the first night. The female twin wakes and begins to cry softly. She is hungry again. Asha offers her breast, knowing there is almost nothing there, but the act of nursing calms the infant. The male twin wakes too, disturbed by his sister's movement. He does not cry. He simply watches the darkness with wide eyes, as if he understands that his survival depends on silence. Asha looks at her twins in the faint moonlight. They are so small, so fragile. Every instinct of natural selection says they should not survive. The odds are mathematically against them. But instincts deeper than natural selection have brought them this far. Tomorrow will bring new challenges: the desperate search for water, the need for food, the constant threat of predation. But for now, in this moment, they are alive. The sky begins to lighten in the east. The first birds begin their dawn chorus. The Pliocene day is beginning, and with it, the second chapter of their 72-hour ordeal. They have survived approximately 16 hours. 56 remain. The sun rises, and the killing begins again. The water crisis. The sun's first rays strike the copy with physical force, transforming the granite from cool refuge to baking stone within minutes. Asha feels the heat building beneath her, radiating upward from rock that will soon become too hot to touch. The twins stir against her, their small bodies already beginning to show signs of distress. Their lips are dry. Their skin has lost the subtle plumpness of proper hydration. They have gone nearly 20 hours without water, sustained only by their mother's declining milk supply. Asha herself is in worse condition. Adult Australopithecus afarensis can survive approximately 3 days without water under optimal conditions. But these are not optimal conditions. The temperature will exceed 105 degrees Fahrenheit by midday. She has been nursing 2 infants, which accelerates dehydration. She has been awake for over 30 hours, and stress depletes fluid reserves as surely as heat. By her body's internal calculation, a calculation performed by systems far older than consciousness, she has perhaps 48 hours before organ failure begins. The twins have less, much less. She scans the savanna below as the light strengthens. The hyenas are gone, vanished with the night, but their absence provides no comfort. Daytime brings different predators, different dangers. Already she can see shapes moving through the grass. A herd of Civatherium, bizarre giraffe-like creatures with elaborate ossicones, moving toward water. Where there are herbivores heading to water, there are predators waiting at water. The nearest water source she knows of is the seasonal stream, approximately 2 miles northeast, the same direction her group was traveling yesterday. During the wet season, it flows year-round, but the dry season has reduced it to a series of disconnected pools, each one a concentrated arena of death. Every animal in this territory must drink, which means every predator knows exactly where to wait. She makes a decision. They must descend. They must attempt to reach water. Staying on this rock is slow death. Death by thirst, by exposure, by gradual weakening until some predator finds the courage to climb. At least moving toward water offers the possibility of survival. But she cannot simply climb down and walk. She needs strategy. She needs to understand the patterns of predation, the rhythms of the killing grounds. She spends the next hour watching the savanna, reading it the way a human might read a book. She watches the birds. Vultures circling indicate recent kills, which means predators are currently feeding, which means they are temporarily less dangerous. She watches the behavior of distant herbivores, their alertness, their grouping patterns, their movement directions, all provide information about predator locations. What she observes is not encouraging. There is a concentration of vultures approximately 1 mile north, likely a major kill, possibly multiple predators feeding. The herbivore herds are nervous, bunched tight, moving in irregular patterns that suggest nearby threats. The savanna is alive with danger. But there is a window. Mid-morning, after the dawn hunting frenzy, but before the heat drives everyone to shelter. A period of perhaps 2 hours when predator activity typically decreases. It is not safe. Nowhere is safe. But it is less lethal than other times. She begins the descent. With both twins clinging to her, every movement is calculated. Her feet, still partially prehensile, grip the granite with unconscious skill. Her long arms provide balance. She is slow, methodical. A fall from this height with 2 infants would mean broken bones, incapacitation, death. Halfway down, the female twin loses her grip. The infant tumbles backward, her small fingers slipping from her mother's hair. Asha's reaction is instantaneous, a reflexive catch that nearly unbalances her completely. She grabs the falling twin with her left hand, while her right hand and both feet maintain contact with the rock face. For a moment, she is suspended in an impossible position, her body stretched between holds, the full weight of both infants pulling at her. Her muscles scream. Her fingers begin to slip. The male twin, sensing the instability, tightens his grip around her neck, partially choking her. She cannot breathe. She cannot hold this position. But somehow, through a combination of desperate strength and evolutionary adaptation, she manages to press the female twin back against her body and resume her grip. The descent continues. When she finally reaches the ground, her entire body is shaking. She pauses, breathing hard, allowing the twins to resettle into carrying positions. The female goes to her back, the male to her chest. They are heavier than yesterday, or perhaps she is weaker. The distinction hardly matters. She begins moving northeast toward water. Her pace is careful, using every scrap of cover the landscape provides. Australopithecus afarensis is not fast. Maximum speed is perhaps 15 miles per hour in short bursts, far too slow to outrun most predators. Her survival strategy is stealth, awareness, and the desperate hope that she can detect danger before danger detects her. The first half-mile passes without incident. The grass here is chest-high on her small frame, providing concealment but also limiting visibility. It is a terrible compromise. She moves in a crouch, her head constantly swiveling, her senses operating at maximum intensity. Every sound is analyzed. The rustle of grass might be wind, or it might be a stalking cat. The call of a bird might be ordinary territorial behavior, or it might be an alarm call, warning of approaching predators. The twins are silent, as if they understand the stakes. The male twin's eyes are alert, tracking movement with an intensity unusual for his age. The female has her face pressed against her mother's back, her small hands gripping with white-knuckle desperation. They are learning. In an environment this hostile, learning happens fast or not at all. At the 3/4-mile mark, Asha encounters the first body. It is a juvenile Thompson's gazelle, perhaps 6 months old, killed sometime in the last few hours. The carcass has been partially consumed, the soft organs gone, the hindquarters stripped, but much of the meat remains. Flies swarm over the exposed flesh in a living black cloud. The smell is overwhelming. Blood, viscera, the beginning stages of decomposition accelerated by the heat. Asha approaches cautiously. This much remaining meat means the kill is recent, which means the predator is likely nearby, possibly watching its cache. But it also represents an opportunity. She has not eaten in over 24 hours. Her body is cannibalizing itself to produce milk for the twins. The gazelle represents calories, energy, the possibility of continuing. But Australopithecus afarensis is not primarily a carnivore. Her digestive system is designed for fruits, leaves, roots, occasional insects. She lacks the specialized gut bacteria that obligate carnivores possess to safely process raw meat. Eating this carrion could make her sick, could weaken her further. Yet starvation is also a form of death, perhaps slower, but equally certain. She makes a pragmatic decision. She will not eat the meat itself. Too risky, too difficult to digest. But she can access the bone marrow. Using a nearby rock, she begins to crack open the gazelle's leg bones. The sound is horrifically loud in the quiet savanna, each impact echoing like a gunshot. She works quickly, frantically, knowing that every second of noise is an advertisement to every predator within earshot that easy prey is available. The bone splits. Inside, the marrow is rich, fatty, packed with calories. She scoops it out with her fingers and consumes it rapidly. The taste is overwhelming, rich almost to the point of nausea, but her body recognizes it as exactly what she needs. She takes as much as she can carry, smearing some on leaves to save for later, knowing that this single meal might mean the difference between producing enough milk tonight and watching her twins weaken from hunger. As she works, she notices something. The kill site shows unusual characteristics. The gazelle was brought down by a single predator. The killing bite to the throat is clean, efficient. But the feeding pattern is strange. A large carnivore would have consumed more, would have cached the remains. This looks like the work of something smaller, something that fed quickly and left. Then she understands. This was a leopard kill. Leopards are solitary hunters, roughly 150 pounds, powerful but cautious. Unlike lions or hyenas, which feed in groups, a leopard typically drags its kill into a tree to eat in safety. But there are no suitable trees nearby, which means the leopard likely fed on the ground and may have been disturbed, which means it might return. She needs to leave immediately. She takes one final scoop of marrow and begins moving away from the kill site. She has covered perhaps 20 yards when she hears it, a low, rasping growl from the grass to her left. The leopard. It has been watching. It has allowed her to approach its kill, to feed, to lower her guard. Now it wants her gone, or it wants her dead. The growl is a warning and a promise. Asha freezes. Eye contact with a large predator can trigger an attack, but showing her back can also invite a chase response. She makes a compromise, She maintains peripheral vision on the direction of the growl, while slowly backing away. She does not run. Running would transform her from uncertain threat to definite prey. The leopard is a specialist in killing primates. Her species is on its menu. The growl intensifies. The grass moves. Asha can see the leopard now, a large male, its spotted coat providing perfect camouflage in the dappled light. It is evaluating her. She is larger than most of its typical prey, but she is alone, burdened with infants, obviously stressed. The leopard's tail twitches, the classic feline sign of hunting arousal. Then the male twin does something extraordinary. He turns to face the leopard and produces a sound Asha has never heard from an infant, a sharp, aggressive bark. It is not loud, but it is startling in its intensity. The leopard stops moving. Its ears flatten. The sound has confused it, disrupted its attack calculation. An infant that vocalizes aggressively suggests a group nearby. Groups are dangerous. The leopard's pupils dilate as it scans for additional threats. The moment of confusion is enough. Asha uses it to create distance, moving backwards steadily, keeping the leopard in her peripheral vision. 20 yards. 30 yards. The leopard does not follow. It has decided the risk is too high, the potential reward too uncertain. It returns to its kill, draping itself over the gazelle carcass like a spotted blanket, watching Asha retreat with yellow eyes that promise death if she returns. When she is 100 yards away, Asha allows herself to breathe. The male twin has gone quiet again, but something has changed in him. He showed courage, initiative, problem-solving that should not exist in an 8-month-old Australopithecus brain. She does not understand what she has witnessed, but she knows it was significant. She continues toward water. Another half-mile. Another 40 minutes of careful movement through grass that seems endless. The sun is approaching its zenith. The temperature is becoming dangerous. The twins are panting, their small bodies struggling to thermoregulate. She needs to find water soon, or the heat alone will kill them. Then she smells it. The distinctive odor of stagnant water, mud, and concentrated animal presence. She is close. Within minutes, she reaches a small rise and looks down at the water source. What she sees stops her cold. The seasonal stream has been reduced to a single pool, perhaps 30 feet across and 3 feet deep at its center. The water is murky, thick with mud and algae, but it is water, and every animal in the territory knows it. The pool is surrounded by a ring of trampled mud, where hundreds of animals have drunk. But the scene is not one of peaceful congregation. It is a killing ground. In the mud near the water's edge lies the fresh corpse of an adult wildebeest, its throat torn open. 50 yards to the west, a troop of baboons sits in the scraggly trees, watching the water with obvious thirst, but refusing to descend. On the eastern side, a herd of antelope stands motionless, their eyes fixed on something in the tall grass. And in that grass, visible only as occasionally shifting shapes, are the hunters. Asha counts at least 4 lions, 2 females and 2 juveniles. They are not hiding anymore. They are resting, their bellies full from the wildebeest kill, but they are positioned perfectly to ambush the next animal desperate enough to drink. Asha faces a decision that will determine whether her twins see another sunrise. The water is there, 20 minutes of walking away. But between her and survival lies the most efficient killing machine the Pliocene has produced. Lions in ambush position at a water source are not just dangerous, they are death itself, patient and inevitable. She cannot go back. There is no other water within her range. She cannot wait. Every hour of delay weakens her, reduces her milk production, brings the twins closer to fatal dehydration. She must attempt the waterhole, must somehow navigate through an environment designed by 400 million years of predator-prey evolution to convert desperation into death. The sun beats down. The twins whimper softly, their tongues visible, their breathing rapid and shallow. The lions below shift in the grass, their tails flicking lazily, waiting for the next victim to arrive. The baboons in the trees scream their frustration and fear, wanting water but knowing the price. Asha begins to descend toward the pool. She has a plan, desperate, unlikely, but it is all she has. In her hand, she carries a stone from the kopje, weighing perhaps 2 pounds. It is not much, but it is something. It is a tool, and the use of tools, even crude ones, is the first step toward the species that will one day dominate this planet. But that is millions of years away. Right now, she is just one small primate with 2 helpless infants, walking toward water that might as well be surrounded by fire. The lions watch. The vultures circle. The savanna holds its breath. The gauntlet. Asha's descent toward the waterhole is not direct. She cannot simply walk to the pool's edge. That would be suicide. Instead, she moves in a wide arc, approaching from the southern side where the grass is thinner and visibility is better. She needs to see the lions before they see her. She needs to understand their positions, their alertness level, their satiation. A well-fed lion is a lazy lion, but even lazy lions will opportunistically kill if prey walks within striking distance. The baboon troop in the trees becomes aware of her approach. Their vocalizations change from generalized alarm to specific warning calls, the distinct bark-grunt sequence that signals terrestrial predator threat. But Asha is not the threat they are warning about. The baboons are inadvertently announcing her presence to every predator at the waterhole. She has been compromised before she even gets close. She freezes, pressing herself flat in the sparse grass. The twins sense the urgency and go completely still. This behavior, predator-induced freezing, is hardwired into their nervous systems. Even at 8 months old, they understand that movement equals death. The female twin stops breathing entirely for almost 30 seconds, an impressive feat of physiological control that will not be understood by science for millions of years. From her prone position, Asha reassesses. The lions have heard the baboon alarm calls. One of the females has lifted her head, scanning the southern approach. Her amber eyes sweep the grassland with methodical precision. Lions have extraordinary eyesight. They can detect movement at over a mile distance. Asha's only advantage is that she is downwind. The lion cannot smell her. Yet. Minutes pass. 5. 10. The lion loses interest and lowers her head back to her paws. The heat is working in Asha's favor. Even apex predators become lethargic when temperatures exceed 100 degrees. The metabolic cost of moving, of hunting, of maintaining alertness becomes prohibitive. The lions are entering their midday torpor, that dangerous time when they are simultaneously least active and most irritable. Asha begins to crawl, not toward the water, not yet. She moves laterally, circling wider, buying distance from the lion's position. Her knees scrape against thorns and sharp grasses. The twins cling tighter as her body angle changes. The male twin's weight on her chest makes breathing difficult, but she continues. 50 yards of crawling, 100. The sun hammers down on her back, turning her dark skin into a solar collector that threatens to cook her from the outside in. She reaches a position roughly 120 yards from the water's edge, almost due south of the pool. From here, she can see the full tactical situation. The two adult lionesses are positioned on the western side, in heavy grass, perfectly placed to ambush animals approaching from the direction most herbivores travel, from the interior savanna toward water. The two juvenile lions, perhaps 18 months old, are northeast of the pool, less disciplined in their concealment. One of them is visible, sprawled in partial shade beneath a struggling acacia tree. The wildebeest carcass lies on the northern shore, its presence serving as both evidence of the lion's success and a lure. Predators understand that carcasses attract scavengers, and scavengers are also prey. The hyenas will come eventually. The jackals are probably already watching from a distance. The entire ecosystem revolves around this water source, and the lions sit at the center like patient spiders in a web. Asha identifies a narrow approach corridor. The eastern side of the pool, where the two juvenile lions are posted, offers the worst concealment, but also the least experienced hunters. Juveniles at 18 months are still learning. They are impulsive, excitable, prone to premature attacks that alert prey. If Asha can somehow trigger a false charge from the juveniles, she might create enough chaos to reach the water during the confusion. But triggering a charge while burdened with two infants is insane. Any charge, false or real, could result in contact, and contact with a juvenile lion is still contact with 300 pounds of claws and teeth. She needs a different strategy. She needs a distraction. This is when the stone in her hand becomes critical. Australopithecus afarensis uses tools. This is well established in the fossil record. They use rocks to crack nuts, sticks to dig for tubers, bones as clubs for defense. But what Asha is about to attempt represents a cognitive leap. She is going to use the stone not as a direct tool, but as a false signal. She is going to create a deliberate deception. She waits for wind. In the midday heat, thermals create unpredictable air currents. After 10 minutes, she feels a gust from the south. Perfect. She stands slowly, exposing herself above the grass line, and throws the stone with all her strength toward the northeastern quadrant, away from the pool, targeting a location roughly 40 yards from the juvenile lion's position. The stone arcs through the air and crashes into the brush with a sound like a medium-sized animal pushing through vegetation. The effect is immediate. Both juvenile lions surge to their feet, their heads snapping toward the sound. Their inexperience shows. They vocalize, a series of short, excited grunts. One of them bounds toward the noise, all predatory grace and zero tactical discipline. The adult females lift their heads, annoyed at the juvenile's lack of control. One of them issues a low, rumbling vocalization, the feline equivalent of a reprimand. But the damage is done. The ambush has been broken. The careful positioning has been disrupted. For perhaps 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, the killing ground is in disarray. Asha runs. Not directly toward the water. That would put her on a collision course with the searching juvenile. Instead, she angles toward the eastern edge of the pool, moving at maximum speed. Her bipedal gait, awkward under normal circumstances, becomes a lurching sprint. The twins bounce against her body with bruising force. The male twin loses his grip and slides down to her waist, held only by her arm wrapped around him. The female twin screams, a high, piercing distress call that carries across the savanna like a siren. Everything happens at once. The juvenile lion that was investigating the thrown stone whirls at the sound of the scream. It sees Asha, small, bipedal, burdened, running. Every instinct in its young predator brain says, prey. It charges. Not a stalking approach, not a careful ambush. A full, balls-out sprint, driven by inexperience and prey drive. The adult lionesses see the juveniles charge and react with professional efficiency. They rise and begin moving to cut off Asha's line of retreat. Not running yet, but positioning themselves. They are not excited. They are not emotional. They are businesslike, methodical, doing what 4 million years of evolution has programmed them to do. Asha reaches the pool's edge. The water is muddy, warm, probably contaminated with parasites and bacteria. She does not care. She plunges knee-deep, scooping water to her mouth with cupped hands, drinking with desperate gulps. The twins are screaming now, both of them, their fear overriding every survival instinct. She tries to give them water, tries to splash it on their faces, their mouths, but they are too panicked to drink properly. The juvenile lion is 40 yards away, 30, 25. Asha can see its muscles rippling beneath tawny fur, can see its focus narrowing to a point, can see the moment when the charge transitions from chase to attack. This is the moment when most prey dies, when forward momentum makes evasion impossible, when the predator's trajectory and the prey's trajectory intersect in a conclusion written by physics. But Asha does not try to run. Instead, she does something that will not be seen again in this form for 3 million years. She turns to face the charging lion, plants her feet in the mud, raises the male twin above her head with both arms, and roars. Not the fear vocalization, not the distress call, a challenge, a threat display. She makes herself as large as possible, makes the twins appear as additional size, and produces a sound that combines rage and desperation in equal measure. The juvenile lion, 15 yards away, falters. The prey is not fleeing. The prey is threatening. This breaks the script, violates the expected pattern. The lion's charge becomes a skidding stop, throwing up mud and water. It stands there, confused, its tail lashing. It is close enough that Asha can see its eyes, not the cold, alien gaze she expected, but something uncertain, almost confused. The adult females arrive at the pool's edge. They assess the situation with predator intelligence that far exceeds the juveniles. They see a small primate in the water, burdened with infants, exhausted, clearly desperate, easy prey by any measure. But they also see something that gives them pause. The primate is facing them. The primate is threatening them. And most importantly, the primate is standing in water deep enough to slow their charge. Lions are not crocodiles. They do not hunt in water. Water is where they become vulnerable, where their speed advantage disappears, where prey can sometimes escape. The adult females could easily wade in and kill Asha, no question. But they would get wet. They would expend energy. They would risk injury from a desperate target that might scratch, might bite, might damage their eyes. And for what? They have already eaten today. They are not hungry. They are hot. They are tired. The cost-benefit analysis happens in seconds. The senior female makes a decision. She issues a vocalization, a short grunt, and turns away from the pool. The message is clear. Not worth it. The other adults follow her lead. Even the juvenile, confused and frustrated, eventually backs away, its eyes still locked on Asha with an expression that might be mistaken for resentment. Within 2 minutes, the lions have returned to their resting positions. The hunt is over. They have decided Asha is too much trouble for too little reward. She has won not through strength or speed, but through something more subtle. She has made herself a bad investment. Asha remains in the water for another 10 minutes, drinking continuously, now letting the twins suckle from her chest while she stands waist-deep. The water is disgusting. She can taste organic matter, animal waste, algae. She will probably develop intestinal parasites from this, but dehydration will kill her in 48 hours. Parasites might kill her in 48 days. The choice is obvious. The baboons in the trees have watched the entire encounter. When the lions settle back into their positions, the baboons begin their own careful descent to drink. They move as a group, with sentries posted, with escape routes planned. They are supremely good at this. They visit this waterhole multiple times per day. Asha observes their technique, learning. The baboons largely ignore her. To them, she is just another primate trying to survive. There is no interspecies solidarity, but there is also no interspecies aggression. They are colleagues in desperation. After drinking, the baboons retreat to their trees. Asha knows she should leave. Every moment at the waterhole increases danger, but her body is not ready. She has drunk nearly 2 liters, but her tissues are so dehydrated that the water is being absorbed almost faster than she can consume it. She needs more time. She needs to let the twins drink properly. She needs to rest, even for just a few minutes. She moves to the pool's eastern edge, where a small overhang provides minimal shade. She sits in the mud, her legs still in the water, and lets the twins nurse properly for the first time in 12 hours. Her milk production has been partially restored by the hydration and the bone marrow she consumed earlier. The twins feed with intense focus, their small hands kneading her chest, their eyes closed in concentration. As they nurse, Asha watches the savanna. The lions are visible now, having given up any pretense of concealment in the midday heat. The wildebeest carcass is being investigated by a lone jackal, a bold individual that darts in, grabs a scrap of meat, and retreats before the lions can react. The vultures have landed and are feeding on the portions the lions have abandoned. The entire scene is a tableau of African ecology. Death feeding life feeding death in an endless cycle. Asha notices something else. On the far side of the pool, barely visible in the shimmer of heat, another Australopithecus individual has appeared. It is an adult, difficult to determine gender at this distance, watching the water with obvious need but not approaching. It sees Asha. Asha sees it. They regard each other across the killing ground, 2 members of the same species, both desperate, both alone. There is no communication, no offer of alliance. The stranger simply watches for a few minutes, then disappears back into the grass. Asha feels something like loss, though she cannot name it. The twins finish nursing and fall into exhausted sleep. Asha allows them to rest for perhaps 20 minutes, an enormous risk, but a necessary one. They have been awake for most of the last 36 hours, sustained by adrenaline and fear. Without sleep, their immune systems will crash, their development will be compromised. Even a short period of unconsciousness will help. While they sleep, Asha drinks more. She also does something that might seem strange. She deliberately rolls in the mud at the pool's edge, covering herself with a thick layer of wet clay. This serves multiple functions. The mud provides cooling through evaporation. It offers minimal protection from the sun's radiation. Most importantly, it partially masks her scent. Predators hunt by scent as much as by sight. The mud will not make her invisible to olfactory hunters, but it will make her less immediately identifiable. She also covers the twins in mud, gently, carefully, avoiding their faces and airways. They do not wake. They are too exhausted. When she is finished, all three of them look less like primates and more like ambulatory mud sculptures. The sun begins its afternoon descent. Asha knows she cannot stay here. The evening will bring a new wave of animals desperate for water, and with them, a new wave of predators. She has pushed her luck as far as it will go. She must leave now and find shelter before darkness falls. But where? She cannot return to the Kapya. It is too far, and she would never make it before dark. She cannot rejoin her group. She has no idea where they are now, and even if she could find them, they might not accept her return. She is alone, and she must make decisions as if she will be alone forever. She looks northeast, in the direction she believes her group traveled. Somewhere in that direction is more permanent water, better feeding grounds, perhaps even the safety of numbers. But it is also unknown territory for a solo individual. She looks south, back toward the Kapi and the territory she knows intimately. Safety in familiarity, but also isolation. She makes her choice. She will go northeast. She will follow the direction her group took, not because she expects to find them, but because they chose that direction for good reasons. Good water, good feeding, good shelter. If she can find those things, she can survive until the twins are old enough to be less burdensome, until she is strong enough to attempt reintegration with a group, any group. She gently wakes the twins, adjusts them into carrying position, and begins walking. The mud cakes on her skin, cracking as she moves, but staying mostly in place. She feels heavier, slower, but also somehow safer. She is no longer a small, vulnerable primate. She is a mud creature, unidentifiable, moving through a landscape that has momentarily forgotten how to categorize her. 300 yards from the waterhole, she passes close to where the adult lionesses are resting. One of them lifts her head, sniffs the air, but shows no interest. The mud has worked. The lion's olfactory system detects something vaguely organic, but not obviously prey. It is not worth investigating in this heat. Asha continues northeast. The afternoon stretches ahead of her. She has survived approximately 40 hours of her 72-hour ordeal. 32 hours remain. She has water in her system, minimal nutrition from the bone marrow, and 2 infants who are alive against all odds. But the night is coming again, and the second night, according to every principle of survival biology, is harder than the first. Injuries accumulate. Exhaustion deepens. Resources deplete. The margin for error shrinks to nothing. As she walks, the male twin shifts against her chest and makes a sound. Not crying, not distress, something else. It might be mistaken for contentment, though that seems impossible under the circumstances. Asha looks down at him. His eyes are open, watching the world pass, covered in mud, but somehow alert. He makes the sound again. It is too early to call it language. It is not complex enough to be communication in any meaningful sense. But it is something. It is the sound of a young primate that has faced death multiple times and is still curious about the world. It is the sound that will echo forward through millions of years of evolution until it becomes words, sentences, stories, science. But that is unimaginably far in the future. Right now, it is just a sound. A small sound in a vast, indifferent landscape. A sound that might not matter at all in the grand scheme of things, except that it matters to Asha. And mattering, even in the smallest measure, is where the human story begins. She walks on into the afternoon, carrying her future on her chest and back, leaving muddy footprints that will be erased by the next wind, as if she was never here at all. The stranger's gift. The afternoon sun descends with agonizing slowness, each degree of arc seeming to take hours. Asha has been walking for approximately 3 hours since leaving the waterhole, covering perhaps 2 miles of difficult terrain. The mud coating her body has dried into a rigid shell that cracks with every movement, falling away in fragments that leave her increasingly exposed. The twins are silent, conserved into that state of minimal energy expenditure that young primates enter when resources are scarce. The landscape has changed subtly. The open grassland is giving way to more broken terrain, scattered copias, dry stream beds, occasional stands of acacia trees that have somehow survived the drought. This is better habitat for an isolated individual. More cover, more options for escape, but also more ambush points. Every boulder, every thicket, every depression could conceal a predator. Asha's pace has slowed dramatically. Her initial reservoir of water is depleting through sweat and milk production. The bone marrow she consumed hours ago provided a temporary energy boost, but that is fading. Her body is beginning to make the cruel calculations that evolution demands. How much energy to allocate to walking, how much to milk production, how much to maintain consciousness. There is not enough for all three. Something must be sacrificed. She stops beside a cluster of acacia trees, their thorny branches offering minimal shade but some psychological comfort. She needs to feed. The twins are draining her, and she has consumed nothing since the marrow. She scans the immediate area for food, fruits, tubers, anything edible. The dry season has stripped most obvious resources, but Australopithecus afarensis has evolved to extract nutrition from marginal sources. She begins to dig at the base of one of the acacias, using a sharp rock to break the hardened earth. 18 inches down, she finds what she is looking for: underground storage organs, thick roots that retain moisture and carbohydrates even during drought. They are fibrous, tough, barely palatable, but they contain calories. She excavates several, each roughly the size of her fist, and begins the laborious process of chewing them into digestible pulp. The process is exhausting. Her jaw muscles ache. Her teeth, still large and robust by modern human standards, grind against the fibrous material. It takes nearly 15 minutes to consume enough to matter nutritionally. The twins watch with interest. They are too young to eat solid food, but they are observing, learning. The male twin reaches out and touches one of the roots, bringing his muddy fingers to his mouth. He makes a face at the taste, bitter, earthy, but does not cry. He is learning what food is, what sustenance means. While Asha eats, she becomes aware of being watched. Not by a predator. Predator attention feels different, carries a specific quality of focused intent. This is something else. She scans the area carefully and sees movement approximately 60 yards away, partially concealed behind a termite mound. It is another Australopithecus individual. For a moment, Asha thinks it might be a member of her original group, somehow separated and alone like her. But as the figure moves slightly, she realizes this is a stranger, an adult female from a different band. The stranger is also alone, also showing signs of stress. Her body posture is defensive, uncertain. She is watching Asha with an expression that might be recognition, curiosity, or simply the dull awareness that comes from exhaustion. In normal circumstances, encounters between individuals from different Australopithecus groups range from neutral to hostile. Resources are scarce. Competition is intense. Strangers represent threats to food access, potential infanticide risks, disease vectors. The default response is avoidance or aggression. But these are not normal circumstances. Both females are alone, both vulnerable, both desperate. The stranger makes a decision. She emerges from behind the termite mound and begins approaching, slowly, with hands visible, displaying no aggressive intent. She stops at 30 yards. Asha tenses but does not flee. The twins sense the tension and grip tighter. The two females regard each other across the distance, each assessing the other's condition, intent, potential threat level. The stranger vocalizes, a soft, non-threatening sound. Not language, not even proto-language, but communication nonetheless. The vocalization carries information. I am alone. I am not aggressive. I am also struggling. Asha responds with a similar sound. The acoustic exchange continues for perhaps 2 minutes, a conversation in tones and rhythms that conveys emotional state more than semantic content. Then the stranger does something unexpected. She reaches into the grass beside her and produces something she has been carrying. A clutch of baobab fruits. Baobabs are among the most nutritious foods available in this environment, packed with vitamin C, calcium, and easily digestible sugars. But baobab trees are rare in this territory, and their fruits are heavily competed for. The stranger has been hoarding these, carrying them despite their weight, and now she is offering them. She places the fruits on the ground and backs away. The gesture is unmistakable. This is a gift. Or, more precisely, this is the evolutionary precursor to gift giving, an exchange that benefits both parties. The stranger is communicating, I have surplus. I offer it. Perhaps this creates alliance. Perhaps this creates debt. Perhaps this simply makes us both safer for a moment. Asha approaches cautiously. She examines the fruits, 3 of them, each the size of a small melon, their hard shells intact. They are real. They are not poisoned or rotten. The stranger has given away perhaps 2 days' worth of premium nutrition. Asha looks up at the stranger, trying to understand. Why would she do this? The answer becomes apparent when Asha looks more carefully at the stranger's body. The female is injured, a long, partially healed wound across her left shoulder, the kind made by large claws. She survived a predator attack, but the injury has compromised her mobility. She cannot carry heavy fruits efficiently. She is in pain. She needs allies, needs help, needs anything that might improve her survival odds. The gift is strategic, but it is also desperate. Asha makes a decision that will ripple forward through 3 million years of evolution. She picks up one of the baobab fruits, cracks it open using her rock tool, and extends half of it toward the stranger. She is sharing the gift back. She is saying, "I accept your alliance. We are stronger together than alone." The stranger approaches and takes the offered fruit half. Both females begin eating, maintaining a respectful distance of about 10 feet. The twins watch this interaction with wide eyes. They are witnessing something that has rarely occurred in their species' short evolutionary history. Cooperation between unrelated, unfamiliar individuals based on mutual need rather than kinship or dominance hierarchy. As they eat, the stranger vocalizes more. The sounds are complex, containing what might be the earliest forms of semantic information. Asha understands fragments. Danger from that direction. Water exists over there. Group movement patterns. The stranger is sharing intelligence, creating value for the alliance beyond the immediate food exchange. She is demonstrating that cooperation yields benefits. The baobab fruit is extraordinary nutrition. Asha can feel her body responding almost immediately. Blood sugar stabilizing, energy returning, milk production increasing. The twins sense the change and become more animated. The female twin makes her first non-distress vocalization in hours, a soft cooing sound. The male twin responds with a similar sound. They are communicating with each other, mirroring the adult cooperation occurring in front of them. The two adult females finish eating as the sun touches the horizon. The sky is beginning its transformation through the spectrum. Gold to orange to red to purple. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure, because every sunset in the Pliocene is a countdown to darkness and the things that hunt in darkness. The stranger gestures toward the northeast, the same direction Asha has been traveling. She vocalizes again, and this time Asha understands more of the message. There is a place, not far, better shelter. The stranger has scouted it. She is inviting Asha to follow. She is proposing they spend the night together, doubling their defensive capabilities. Asha hesitates. Every instinct bred into her by millions of years of solitary survival says, trust no one outside your group. But newer instincts, barely formed, whisper something different. They whisper, alone, you will die. Together, you might live. The choice is between evolutionary conservatism and adaptive flexibility. She chooses flexibility. She gestures acceptance. The stranger's body language shows something that might be relief. Together, the two females begin moving northeast, Asha following at a cautious distance, both of them scanning constantly for threats. They walk for approximately 30 minutes, covering less than a mile, due to the stranger's injury and Asha's burden. The light is failing rapidly. Nocturnal sounds are beginning, the first tentative calls of night birds, the distant whooping of hyenas coordinating for evening hunts. The temperature is dropping, but not as dramatically as the previous night. The atmospheric conditions are different, retaining more heat. The stranger leads them to a formation that Asha would never have found alone, a collapsed lava tube, one of the geological remnants from when this region was volcanically active millions of years ago. The tube has created a cave approximately 8 feet deep and 6 feet wide, with an entrance too small for large predators, but sufficient for Australopithecus-sized individuals. The floor is sandy, dry, relatively free of insects or snake burrows. It is not perfect. The entrance faces northwest, which means they can be approached from multiple angles. The cave has no secondary exit, which means they can be trapped. But it is shelter, and shelter is the difference between surviving the night and becoming nocturnal predator prey. Both females enter the cave. The stranger positions herself near the entrance, despite her injury. She is taking the most dangerous position, the one most likely to be attacked first if something attempts entry. This is not altruism, it is tactical. Her injury makes her less valuable for long-term survival. She can afford to take greater risks. Asha understands this calculation and accepts it without sentiment. Asha settles deeper in the cave with the twins. They immediately begin nursing, their small bodies pressed against her in the darkness. The cave retains some warmth from the day's heat, making it marginally comfortable. As the twins feed, Asha watches the stranger's silhouette at the entrance. The female is tense, alert, listening to every sound from outside. The night descends completely. The moon will not rise for another 3 hours. The crescent is setting later each night. The darkness is absolute, broken only by starlight that provides almost no useful illumination. In this darkness, the humans of the distant future will eventually learn to master fire, will create artificial light, will conquer the night. But Australopithecus afarensis has none of these technologies. The night belongs to their enemies. The first hours pass in tense silence. The twins fall asleep. Asha does not sleep. Neither does the stranger. They take turns listening, each developing a rhythm. One focuses on sounds from the north, the other from the south. It is unconscious coordination, the beginning of cooperative defense strategies that will become more sophisticated over millions of years. Around what Asha's internal clock estimates as midnight, they hear something large passing nearby. The sound of heavy footsteps, the crack of vegetation being crushed. Both females freeze. The stranger backs slightly deeper into the cave, positioning herself between the entrance and Asha's twins. The footsteps pause near the cave entrance. Silence. 30 seconds. 60. The sound of breathing, deep, powerful, carnivorous. Something is investigating the cave mouth. Then a different sound. Sniffing. Long inhalations as the predator samples the air, detecting the scent of prey inside. The stranger begins to vocalize, not loudly, but in a low, continuous growl. She is making herself known, announcing that the cave is occupied, that entry will be contested. Asha joins the vocalization, creating a dual-source sound that suggests multiple defenders. The twins wake and add their voices, high-pitched, discordant, creating acoustic confusion. The predator at the entrance, likely a hyena based on the breathing pattern, must make a decision. Cave fighting is dangerous for attackers. Defenders have the advantage of a choke point, can focus their resistance, can inflict damage on anything trying to squeeze through. The hyena knows this. Every nocturnal predator knows this. Caves are hard targets. The breathing stops. The footsteps resume, moving away. The threat has passed. But both females know it has not gone far. The hyena will circle, will test other approaches, will wait for a mistake. The siege has begun again, just as it did the previous night at the copy. But this night is different. Asha is not alone. 2 adults can maintain alertness longer than one. 2 adults can defend a choke point more effectively. 2 adults can share the psychological burden of constant fear. The alliance is proving its value. Hours pass. The moon finally rises, its crescent providing minimal light, but enough to see vague shapes. The stranger turns toward Asha and makes a sound, not words, but unmistakably a question. Asha responds. They are conversing, in the most primitive possible way, about the dangers outside, about their chances, about tomorrow. The male twin wakes and begins to fuss. He is hungry again, always hungry. Asha offers her breast, but her milk supply is depleted. She has nothing left to give. The twins' fussing intensifies, approaching the danger threshold where it might attract predator attention. The stranger observes this problem and does something remarkable. She crawls closer to Asha, reaches into her mouth, and removes a piece of masticated baobab fruit she has been holding in her cheek, a food storage behavior common in primates. She offers it to Asha. Asha takes the pre-chewed fruit and feeds it to the male twin. It is not milk, but it is nutrition. The twin accepts it, his small mouth working the soft pulp. He does not love the taste, but he is learning a critical lesson. Food comes in many forms, from many sources. He is learning to be flexible, adaptable, open to novel solutions. This moment, this transfer of processed food from an unrelated female to an unrelated infant is almost unprecedented in Australopithecus behavior. It is the foundation of allomaternal care, the practice of non-mothers helping to raise young. This practice will become central to human evolution, allowing mothers to reproduce more frequently, allowing groups to support more juveniles, creating the demographic conditions necessary for large brain evolution. But in this moment, it is just one hungry baby being fed by a stranger in a cave while predators circle outside. Nothing grand, nothing historic, just survival, one small act at a time. The night wears on. Dawn is perhaps 2 hours away. Both females are exhausted beyond anything they have previously experienced. The stranger's injury is clearly causing pain. She shifts position frequently, trying to find comfort. Asha's body is consuming itself to feed the twins, burning muscle tissue when fat reserves are gone. They are both dying slowly, just slowly enough to maybe last another day. As the sky begins its pre-dawn lightning, the stranger does something that Asha will not understand for hours. She reaches out and gently touches the female twin. Not aggressively, not possessively, but with something that resembles tenderness. The touch lasts only seconds. Then the stranger withdraws and returns to watching the cave entrance. That touch contains information Asha's conscious mind cannot process, but her body understands. The stranger has no infants. Her injury occurred weeks ago, and the stress of survival has caused her to stop ovulating. She cannot reproduce. She may never reproduce again. But by helping these twins survive, she is contributing to the genetic future of the species. Not her genes specifically, but genes similar enough to matter. This is not conscious altruism. It is not calculated genetic strategy. It is something more primitive and more profound. The feeling that infants matter, that young must be protected, even young that are not yours. This feeling will be refined over millions of years into what humans call empathy, compassion, love. But here, in this cave, it is just a touch, a moment of connection across the vast space of individual isolation. The sun rises on the 56th hour of the twins' ordeal. 16 hours remain. Asha and the stranger have survived another night, but they have done more than survive. They have formed the first alliance outside kinship that the Pliocene savanna has witnessed. They have shared resources. They have coordinated defense. They have communicated across the void of mutual incomprehension. As the light strengthens, both females emerge from the cave cautiously. The savanna is empty of obvious threats. The night predators have retreated, and the day predators have not yet begun their patrols. There is a window, a brief moment of relative safety. The stranger gestures northeast again. She wants to continue traveling in that direction. She believes there is something worth reaching. Better water, better food, perhaps even a group that might accept two desperate females with valuable skills. Asha looks at her twins. They are alive. Weak, but alive. The male twin meets her eyes and makes that sound again. The curious, questioning sound that is not quite language, but is definitely something. Asha nods to the stranger. They will continue together. They will travel northeast. They will attempt the impossible task of surviving as a tiny makeshift group in an ecosystem designed to kill small groups. The odds are against them. The mathematics of survival say they should fail. But mathematics does not account for cooperation. Mathematics does not account for innovation. Mathematics does not account for the tiny, improbable moments when individuals decide that together is better than alone. They begin walking as the sun clears the horizon. 2 females, 2 infants, all of them injured or exhausted or starving. A pitiful group by any measure. And yet, as they move through the morning light, they represent something that will eventually conquer this planet. Not strength, not speed, not even intelligence, really. Just the willingness to help. Just the capacity to care about something beyond immediate self-interest. Just the stubborn refusal to accept that alone is the only option. The savanna watches them go. The savanna has seen 10,000 groups die, but it has also seen the groups that survive. And those groups, always, share one characteristic. They move together. 16 hours remain. The killing hour. The morning sun climbs with merciless efficiency, transforming the landscape from hospitable to hostile within 2 hours. Asha and the stranger have been walking northeast for approximately 3 miles, following what appears to be an ancient game trail, a slight depression in the earth worn smooth by generations of migrating herbivores. The trail offers easier walking, but also concentrates foot traffic, which means it concentrates predators. The twins are deteriorating. The male twin's eyes have developed a glassy quality that Asha recognizes from watching group members die. The look of a body beginning to shut down non-essential systems. His grip is weaker. His vocalizations have stopped entirely. He is conserving every calorie, every molecule of water, prioritizing only the most critical functions: heartbeat, breathing, basic metabolism. He is entering survival mode at a physiological level that will not be understood by medical science for millions of years. The female twin is in slightly better condition, perhaps because she weighs less and therefore requires fewer resources, but she too shows signs of extreme stress. Her fontanelle, the soft spot on her skull, is visibly sunken, indicating severe dehydration. Her skin has lost elasticity. When Asha pinches it gently, it remains tented for several seconds before slowly returning to normal, a clinical sign that her tissues are desperately depleted of fluid. The stranger is limping more severely. Her shoulder wound, which seemed to be healing, has reopened slightly, weeping clear fluid mixed with blood. The wound is infected, not critically, not yet, but infection in this environment is a death sentence without antibiotics, without antiseptics, without any of the tools that will be invented millions of years hence. She has perhaps 3 to 5 days before sepsis overwhelms her immune system. She knows this in the way all animals know when death is approaching. She can feel it in her body's failing responses. But she continues walking. She has made her decision. She will help these twins reach safety, or she will die trying. There is no rational explanation for this choice. Natural selection should favor self-preservation above unrelated offspring. But evolution is not always rational. Sometimes evolution experiments with behaviors that seem counterproductive in the short term, but create advantages across longer timescales. Cooperation, self-sacrifice, heroism, though that word will not exist for 3 million years. They reach a point where the game trail splits. The main branch continues northeast, wide and well-traveled. A smaller branch angles more directly north, narrower, less obvious. The stranger stops and examines both paths with the concentration of someone making a life or death decision. Asha watches her, trying to understand the calculation. The stranger chooses the northern branch, the smaller path. She gestures for Asha to follow. This choice seems counterintuitive. The main trail is easier, faster, but the stranger knows something Asha does not. The main trail leads to the primary water source for this region, which means it leads directly into the highest concentration of predators. The northern branch leads to a secondary water source, smaller, less reliable, but also less contested. It is the path of caution, of survival rather than efficiency. They follow the northern trail for another hour. The landscape becomes increasingly broken, more copious, more scattered trees, more vertical relief. This is better habitat for Australopithecus afarensis, offering more escape options, more defensive positions. But it is also more difficult to traverse while carrying infants and nursing an injury. Then they smell it. Both females stop simultaneously, their bodies going rigid. It is the smell of death. Not old death, not the distant reek of a days-old carcass, but fresh death, recent death. The kind of death that means the killer is probably still nearby, still feeding, still proprietary about its kill. The stranger vocalizes softly, a warning. She wants to bypass the kill site, to circle wide and avoid whatever predator is responsible. But Asha is calculating different mathematics. That smell represents meat, fresh meat, calories, energy, the possibility of producing milk for her dying twins. She has been surviving on roots and a single meal of bone marrow. She needs protein. She needs fat. She needs the kind of nutrition that only meat provides. She makes a decision that the stranger clearly disagrees with. She gestures that she wants to investigate. The stranger's body language shows alarm, resistance. She vocalizes again, more urgently. But Asha is already moving toward the source of the smell, driven by maternal desperation that overrides caution. The kill site is approximately 200 yards off the trail, in a small clearing surrounded by thorn bushes. As Asha approaches, moving with extreme caution, she sees the carcass. A subadult zebra, perhaps 2 years old, weighing roughly 400 pounds. It has been killed within the last hour, its blood still liquid, its body heat still dissipating into the morning air. The killing bite is on the throat, clean, efficient, the signature of a large cat. Asha scans for the predator and sees nothing. This is both encouraging and terrifying. Encouraging because the cat might have abandoned the kill temporarily. Terrifying because it might be watching from concealment, waiting to see what scavengers approach. The zebra has been partially consumed, the abdomen opened, the liver and kidneys removed, some of the hindquarter meat stripped away. But easily 75% of the carcass remains. This is a fortune in protein, enough to feed 10 Australopithecus individuals for a day. But it is also a trap. Every scavenger in the area will converge on this location within hours. The vultures are already circling overhead, their phenomenal eyesight having detected the kill from miles away. Asha looks back at the stranger, who has reluctantly followed but remains at the clearing's edge, ready to flee. The twins are silent, sensing the danger that permeates this place. The male twin's eyes are barely open. He does not have much time left. Asha makes her approach. She does not go directly to the carcass. That would be suicidal. Instead, she circles, watching for movement, listening for sounds, smelling for the concentrated musk of large predators. She sees tracks in the soft earth, the distinctive paw prints of Panthera leo, the Pliocene lion, a large male based on the size. The tracks lead away from the kill site toward a cluster of rocks approximately 50 yards distant. The lion is resting. It is fed heavily and is now in the torpid state that follows large meals. It might sleep for hours, or it might return to its kill at any moment if it detects scavengers. This is the gamble. Asha gestures to the stranger. Help me. Together, we can take meat and retreat before the lion responds. Alone, she has no chance. The stranger's face shows the struggle. Every survival instinct says run, but the alliance has created obligation. She has invested in these twins' survival. Abandoning that investment now wastes everything she has already sacrificed. The stranger makes her decision. She limps into the clearing, moving to the opposite side of the carcass from Asha. Both females begin working frantically, using sharp rocks to cut through the zebra's tough hide, accessing the meat beneath. It is brutal work. Their hands become slick with blood. The smell is overwhelming. Iron, salt, life, and death mixed into an olfactory assault that attracts every carnivore within a mile. Asha cuts away a portion of hindquarter meat, roughly 5 pounds, and immediately begins consuming it raw. She does not have time for the luxury of selective eating. She tears at the flesh with her teeth, her jaw muscles working desperately. The meat is tough, gamey, still warm from the zebra's body heat. She forces herself to swallow, to keep eating despite her stomach's protest. Her digestive system, adapted primarily for plant matter, struggles with the protein load. But she continues. The twins need this. The stranger is doing the same, cutting away pieces small enough to carry, stuffing some into her mouth immediately. Both females are covered in blood, their hands, their faces, their chests. They look less like primates and more like predators themselves, though this appearance is entirely cosmetic. They are prey animals stealing from apex predators, and they know it. They work for perhaps 5 minutes. Then the sound they have been dreading, a roar from the direction of the rocks. Deep, resonant, vibrating through the ground itself. The lion has detected them. It is announcing its displeasure and its intent. It is coming. Both females grab final handfuls of meat and run. Not together, they split, instinctively recognizing that separating gives them better survival odds. Asha runs north, back toward the trail. The stranger runs west, toward rougher terrain. The lion must choose which target to pursue. Asha does not look back. She runs with everything she has, the twins bouncing violently against her body, the stolen meat clutched in one bloody hand. Her lungs burn. Her legs threaten to buckle. The male twin loses his grip and slides down to her waist, held only by her arm. But she continues, crashing through thorn bushes that tear her skin, leaping over obstacles she cannot see clearly. Behind her, she hears sounds, snarling, a sharp scream that might be simian or might be feline. The lion has chosen its target. She does not know which of them it pursued. She cannot afford to stop and investigate. She simply runs until her body can run no more, until she collapses behind a large boulder, perhaps half a mile from the kill site. She lies there, gasping, for several minutes. The twins are screaming now, full distress calls, their fear overwhelming their instinct for silence. But Asha cannot calm them yet. She cannot do anything except breathe and pray that the lion chose the other female, that it is not still pursuing, that she has gained enough distance. Slowly, her breathing normalizes. The twins' screaming subsides to whimpering. She checks them for injuries. Miraculously, they are intact. Bruised, terrified, but not broken. She still has the meat clutched in her hand, 5 pounds of zebra flesh that might keep them alive another day. She begins to eat again, forcing herself to consume as much as possible while it is still fresh. The meat will spoil quickly in this heat. She must maximize caloric extraction now. As she eats, she tries to listen for sounds from the direction of the kill site. She hears nothing definitive, no death screams, no continued roaring, just silence, which could mean anything. She will never know what happened to the stranger, whether the lion caught her, whether she escaped, whether she is lying somewhere injured, dying slowly from blood loss or infection. The alliance that formed less than 24 hours ago is broken, dissolved by the brutal mathematics of predation. Asha waited too long at the kill site. She made the wrong decision. And someone, maybe the stranger, maybe herself, paid the price. But she has meat. She has protein. Her body processes it rapidly, converting it to milk, to energy, to the possibility of continued survival. Within an hour, her breasts are engorged again. The twins nurse with desperate intensity, finally receiving the nutrition they desperately need. The male twin's eyes clear slightly. The female twin's fontanelle begins to fill. They are not healthy, not even close, but they have stepped back from the immediate edge of death. Asha rests behind the boulder for 2 hours, the longest she has been stationary during daylight since this ordeal began. She uses the time to clean the blood from her body using sand. Water is too precious to waste on hygiene. She examines her injuries, multiple thorn scratches, one deeper cut on her left calf, bruising across her ribs where the male twin's grip has been constant. Nothing life-threatening, but everything painful. As the sun reaches its zenith, she makes the decision to continue northeast. The stranger's plan was sound. There is supposed to be water in this direction, water that is less contested than the main sources. Asha will continue following that plan, will honor the alliance even though the ally may be dead. She adjusts the twins into carrying position and begins walking again. Her pace is stronger now, the meat having provided tangible energy. The twins are calmer, their bellies full of protein-rich milk. For the first time in 60 hours, the immediate crisis feels slightly less immediate. But 60 hours is not 72 hours. 12 hours remain, and in those 12 hours, Asha will face the final test. Not from predators, not from thirst or hunger, but from something more insidious. She will face exhaustion at a level that makes rational thought impossible, that turns the world into a hallucinatory nightmare where every shadow might be death. She walks through the afternoon. The landscape blurs. She sees things that might not be there, shapes in the grass, movements in her peripheral vision. Her brain, deprived of sleep for over 60 hours, is beginning to malfunction. She starts conversations with group members who are not present, responds to vocalizations she imagines rather than hears. The twins sense something is wrong. They watch her face with unusual intensity, as if trying to understand why their mother is acting strangely. The male twin touches her cheek gently, a gesture that should not exist in an 8-month-old Australopithecus brain. A gesture that suggests empathy, concern, something dangerously close to what will one day be called compassion. As evening approaches, Asha smells water. Real water, not hallucination. She follows the scent with renewed focus, pushing through the fog of exhaustion. And there it is, a small spring emerging from between rocks, creating a pool perhaps 15 feet across. The water is clear, cold, recently emerged from underground aquifers. It is paradise. She drinks. The twins drink. She fills her mouth with water and spits it over their heads, cooling them, hydrating their skin. They laugh, an actual laughing sound, the first expression of joy she has heard from them since this began. The sound is so unexpected, so inappropriate to their circumstances, that it almost breaks something in her. But she does not break. She cannot afford to break. Not yet. As darkness falls for the third and final night, Asha finds a defensive position among the rocks near the spring. It is not ideal. The rocks offer limited protection, and the water will attract every animal in the region. But she has no strength left to seek better shelter. This is where she will make her stand. The night comes. The sounds begin, the familiar symphony of predation and death. But Asha is too exhausted to maintain her usual vigilance. She finds herself drifting despite the danger, her consciousness flickering like a candle in wind. The twins sleep pressed against her, their breathing steady, their small bodies finally relaxed. Hours pass. Nothing attacks. The spring attracts herbivores through the night. She can hear them approaching, drinking, departing. But predators seem to be hunting elsewhere. Perhaps they have fed well today. Perhaps they are simply in other territories. Whatever the reason, this night is quieter than the previous two. Dawn arrives, the 72nd hour. The ordeal is complete. Asha and her twins have survived 3 days alone in the most hostile environment on Earth. They are damaged, depleted, but alive. Against every statistical probability, against the predictions of optimal foraging theory and predator-prey dynamics, they have endured. As the sun rises, Asha hears something that makes her entire body go rigid. Vocalizations, multiple individuals. Coming from the northeast, she recognizes the specific tone, the communication pattern. It is an Australopithecus afarensis group. Not her group, but a group. They emerge from the morning mist like ghosts. 12 individuals, mostly females and juveniles, moving cautiously toward the spring. They see Asha immediately. There is a moment of tension, of mutual assessment. She is a stranger. Strangers are threats. But she is also alone with twins, obviously exhausted, clearly non-aggressive. The group's senior female approaches. She is old by Australopithecus standards, perhaps 30 years, with graying hair and scars that tell stories of survival. She examines Asha, the twins, the situation. She vocalizes a question. "Where is your group?" Asha cannot answer in words, but her body tells the story. She is alone. She has been alone. She needs help. The senior female makes a decision. She gestures to the group, and they approach the spring to drink. They do not attack Asha. They do not drive her away. They simply accept her presence. One of the younger females approaches the twins and touches them gently, checking their health, offering grooming, establishing social bonds. Asha has found what she did not know she was looking for. Not her original group, but a new group. A group that will accept two twins who should not have survived. A group that is willing to expand, to absorb outsiders, to value cooperation over strict genetic relatedness. This is the moment when everything changes. Not dramatically, not obviously, but fundamentally. Because this acceptance, this flexibility, this willingness to help unrelated individuals, this is the behavioral foundation upon which human civilization will eventually be built. The twins nurse one final time as the new group rests at the spring. They are safe. Finally, impossibly safe. 72 hours have ended. The survival story is complete. But the larger story, the story of how cooperation defeats competition, how flexibility defeats rigidity, how compassion defeats indifference, that story is just beginning. It will take 3 million years to finish, but it begins here, at this spring, with these twins, on this morning. The sun rises higher. The new group begins to move, and Asha moves with them. She is no longer alone. She is part of something larger than herself. And in being part of that something, she and her twins have become part of the future. The savannah watches. The savannah always watches. But for once, the savannah has witnessed not death, but the stubborn persistence of life. And life, against all odds, has won. The gift of survival. 3 weeks have passed since the 72-hour ordeal ended. The scars remain, physical, behavioral, neurological. But Asha and her twins have integrated into the new group with a success rate that defies typical Australopithecus social dynamics. The senior female who accepted them, whom we might call Keza in our modern understanding, has made a decision that ripples through group hierarchy. She has positioned Asha not at the bottom of the dominant structure, where outsiders typically land, but in the middle tier. This placement carries implications that Keza herself may not fully understand. The twins are thriving with an intensity that borders on miraculous. The male twin, who came within hours of death from dehydration and starvation, has gained nearly 15% of his body weight. His eyes have regained their alertness, their curiosity. But more remarkably, his behavior has changed in ways that should not be possible at his developmental stage. He watches the group's activities with focused attention. How the adults crack nuts, how they dig for tubers, how they respond to predator alarm calls. He is learning at an accelerated rate, as if the trauma of survival has somehow activated cognitive capacities that typically remain dormant until much later development. The female twin has shown different adaptations. She has become intensely social, spending hours in physical contact with various group members, especially the juvenile females. She initiates grooming sessions, unusual behavior for an 8-month-old. She vocalizes frequently, producing sounds that seem designed to maintain social bonds rather than communicate immediate needs. If the male twin is learning about the physical world, the female twin is learning about the social world. Both are necessary for survival. Both are unusual in their intensity. But it is not just the twins who have changed. Asha herself has undergone a transformation that would be invisible to a casual observer, but is profound at the level of neural architecture. The 72 hours of extreme stress, the constant predator threats, the sleep deprivation, the starvation, the social isolation, have rewired her amygdala, her hypothalamus, her entire stress response system. She is hypervigilant in ways that go beyond normal prey animal awareness. She detects threats faster than other group members. She responds to danger signals with millisecond precision. She has become, in essence, a living early warning system. Keza has noticed this. The senior female, with decades of survival experience, recognizes valuable traits when she observes them. She has begun positioning Asha at the group's periphery during travel, not as a low-status individual relegated to dangerous positions, but as a sentinel. Asha's threat detection abilities have already saved the group twice, once from a stalking leopard that no one else had detected, once from a hidden python that could have easily taken a juvenile. The group now numbers 15 individuals, with Asha and the twins included. This is approaching the upper limit of sustainable group size for Australopithecus afarensis in this territory. Larger groups require more resources, create more competition, increase disease transmission. But larger groups also provide better predator defense, more social learning opportunities, enhanced childcare support. Keza is managing a delicate balance, and Asha's integration has shifted that balance in useful directions. On this particular morning, 21 days after the ordeal ended, the group is moving toward a fruiting fig tree that one of the scouts has located. Fig trees are gold in the Pliocene economy. They fruit year-round, provide massive caloric bounty, and attract animal diversity that creates both opportunity and danger. A good fig tree can sustain a group for weeks. A fig tree also attracts every competitor in the territory. Asha walks in her now customary position at the group's left flank, the twins clinging to her with practiced efficiency. The male twin rides her chest, constantly scanning the environment. The female twin is on her back, occasionally vocalizing to the juvenile females who walk nearby. The group moves with coordinated efficiency that comes from years of traveling together. Except for Asha, who has learned these movement patterns in just 3 weeks through observation and integration. As they approach the fig tree, Asha smells something that triggers immediate alarm. It is not predator scent. She has cataloged dozens of those in her trauma-enhanced memory. It is primate scent, but not from their group. It is the scent of strangers, multiple individuals, close by. She vocalizes, the alarm call that she has perfected, distinct from the calls for predators. This is the call for territorial threat, for social danger. The group stops immediately. Keza moves forward to join Asha at the periphery. Both females scan ahead, trying to locate the source of the scent. Then they see them. Another Australopithecus afarensis group, approximately 20 individuals strong, already at the fig tree. The strangers have claimed the resource first. In Australopithecus territorial dynamics, first claim carries significant weight, but it does not carry absolute authority. Groups of similar size will contest resources, especially resources as valuable as a fruiting fig tree. Keza faces a decision: contest the tree and risk violent confrontation, or withdraw and seek alternative food sources. Her group is smaller, 15 versus 20, but her group has Asha, whose vigilance is proving invaluable. Her group has members who are healthy, well-fed, cohesive. The strangers show signs of stress. Several juveniles appear thin. One adult female is limping. Keza makes her decision. She begins the challenge display. She vocalizes loudly, advertising her group's size and strength. She stands tall, making herself appear larger. The other group members join her, creating a coordinated display of intimidation. This is ritualized warfare, violence without bloodshed, competition through performance rather than actual combat. The stranger group responds with their own display. Their alpha female is massive, perhaps the largest Australopithecus female Asha has ever seen, weighing close to 65 pounds. She vocalizes with depth and power that carries across the clearing. Her group joins her, and for several minutes, the two groups engage in acoustic warfare, each trying to convince the other that continued confrontation will be too costly. Then something unexpected happens. One individual from the stranger group breaks from their formation and begins moving toward Keza's group. It is not an aggressive approach. The body language is neutral, cautious. As the individual gets closer, Asha experiences something that she has no framework to understand: recognition. Not from recent memory, but from before, from the time before the ordeal. It is a female from her original group, one of the individuals who ran when the false Dinofelis alarm triggered the panic that separated her from her twins. The female sees Asha and stops. For a moment, they regard each other across 30 feet of contested ground. The female's face shows something complex. Not quite guilt, because guilt requires abstract reasoning capacity that does not yet exist, but something simpler and more primal. Recognition of shared history. Acknowledgement of abandonment. The female vocalizes softly. It is not a greeting. It is closer to an apology, though that concept does not exist in Australopithecus consciousness. The vocalization carries information. I remember you. I remember what happened. I recognize that you survived what should have killed you. Asha does not respond with anger or aggression. She simply watches. The female twins shifts on her back, making a small sound. The stranger female's eyes track to the twins, seeing that they survived, that they are healthy, that the impossible happened. Then the stranger female does something remarkable. She reaches to her side and pulls something from the grass where she had placed it. A bundle of figs, perhaps 20 fruits wrapped in large leaves. She has been carrying them, hoarding them from her own group's foraging. She walks forward slowly and places them on the ground halfway between the two groups. Then she backs away. It is a gift, an offering, an acknowledgement of debt that transcends the immediate resource competition. The stranger female is saying, in the only way her limited cognitive capacity allows, you survived because of your own strength. Your twins lived because you refused to abandon them. This is recognition of that achievement. Keza watches this exchange with interest. She is learning something about Asha, that she has history, that she has survived extraordinary circumstances, that even members of other groups acknowledge her significance. This information recalibrates Keza's assessment of Asha's value to their group. The gift of figs changes the dynamic. The two alpha females, Keza and the massive stranger, engage in a different kind of exchange. Through vocalizations and gesture, they negotiate. The stranger group has claimed the tree, but they are willing to share. Keza's group can forage on the southern side of the tree, taking perhaps 30% of the available fruit. It is not equal distribution, but it is better than warfare, better than withdrawal. Both groups approach the tree cautiously, maintaining spatial separation, respecting the negotiated boundaries. For several hours, they forage in tense proximity. Juveniles from both groups watch each other with curiosity. Adults maintain vigilance. But no violence occurs. The resource is shared. As Asha forages, feeding figs to her twins, who consume them with enthusiastic efficiency, she observes something that she has no language to describe, but feels at some fundamental level. Two groups, natural competitors, sharing resources through negotiation rather than violence. This should not happen frequently in nature. Competition should dominate cooperation when resources are scarce. But here it is happening, and it is happening because individual relationships, her relationship with the stranger female, Keza's assessment of costs and benefits, have created a framework for compromise. This is not yet human morality. It is not ethics or justice or fairness in any abstract sense. But it is the behavioral substrate from which those concepts will eventually emerge. It is individuals making decisions based not solely on immediate self-interest, but on longer-term social calculations. It is the beginning of something that will one day be called civilization. The male twin, sitting in Asha's lap while she feeds him figs, makes a sound. It is the same questioning sound he has made periodically since the ordeal began. But today, another juvenile from Keza's group responds to the sound with a similar vocalization. The two infants, one 8 months old, one approximately 11 months old, engage in a brief acoustic exchange. It is not conversation, it is not language, but it is communication between unrelated individuals, based on learned vocalizations rather than purely instinctual calls. Asha watches this interaction with the same intensity that has characterized her behavior since the ordeal. She is watching her son learn to communicate, to socialize, to exist in a group context. She is watching the skills develop that will determine whether he survives to reproduce, whether his genes continue forward through time. The female twin is engaged in different learning. She has joined a cluster of juvenile females who are practicing grooming behaviors. They take turns grooming each other, learning the complex social language of primates, where to groom for maximum bonding effect, how long to groom before reciprocation is expected, how to use grooming to establish and maintain relationships. The female twin is the youngest member of this practice group, but she is keeping pace with individuals months older than her. As the afternoon progresses, both groups have taken substantial fig harvests. Bellies are full, energy is restored. The tension between groups has decreased as the resource proves abundant enough for sharing. Some juveniles from different groups have begun playing together. Cautious, brief interactions, but interactions nonetheless. Then, as the sun begins its descent, a sound cuts through the afternoon peace. It is a scream, high-pitched, terrified, unmistakably juvenile. Both groups react instantly, mothers grabbing infants, adults forming defensive positions. The source of the scream becomes apparent within seconds. A young male from the stranger group, perhaps 2 years old, has wandered too far from group protection. He has been ambushed by a martial eagle, one of the largest raptors in Africa, with a wingspan exceeding 6 feet and talons capable of crushing a primate's skull. The eagle has the juvenile in its grasp, attempting to lift off, to carry its prey to a feeding perch. The juvenile's mother is charging toward the attack site, vocalizing desperately. But she is too far away, perhaps 40 yards. The eagle is beginning to lift, its powerful wings creating downdrafts that flatten the grass. The juvenile is being carried upward, his screams becoming more frantic. In seconds, he will be beyond reach, lost to the sky, dead from either the eagle's initial crush or the fall from height when the eagle begins feeding. Asha moves without conscious thought. She is closer to the attack site than the juvenile's mother, perhaps 25 yards. She runs at full speed, her twins bouncing violently but maintaining their grip. She has no weapon. She has no plan. She is operating on pure reactive instinct, enhanced by the trauma-induced hypervigilance that has rewired her nervous system. She reaches the site as the eagle is 5 feet off the ground. Without hesitation, she leaps. Her jump is not high by human standards, perhaps 3 feet of vertical clearance, but it is sufficient. Her hand closes around the juvenile's foot just as the eagle commits fully to flight. For a moment, physics hangs in balance. The eagle's lift capacity versus the combined weight of juvenile and Asha. The eagle wins the initial calculation, continuing upward with both the juvenile and Asha now dangling. But Asha's weight is too much. The eagle's flight becomes labored, unsteady. It cannot gain altitude with this load. Asha is now 8 feet off the ground, still gripping the juvenile's foot, her twins screaming against her body. The eagle is trying to shake her loose, its talons digging deeper into the juvenile's back. Then the male twin does something that should not be possible. He releases his grip on his mother, slides down her body, and bites. He sinks his small teeth into Asha's wrist, not her flesh, but using her body as an anchor point. His weight creates additional drag. The eagle loses lift entirely. All 3 primates and the eagle crash to the ground in a tangle of wings, talons, and bodies. The impact is brutal. Asha feels something crack in her left side, ribs possibly. The eagle is screeching, furious, dangerous even on the ground. Its talons are still embedded in the juvenile's back. Asha grabs at the eagle's legs, trying to force it to release. The eagle strikes at her face with its beak, a blow that opens a cut above her eye, blood pouring down her face. Then other adults arrive, both from Keza's group and the stranger group. Multiple females converge on the eagle, using rocks and sticks and their own bodies as weapons. The eagle realizes it is outnumbered, that it has lost tactical advantage. It releases the juvenile and launches into flight, its wings creating a storm of grass and dust as it climbs rapidly away from the mob of enraged primates. The juvenile is alive. Badly wounded, the eagle's talons have created deep punctures in his back and shoulders, but alive. His mother reaches him and immediately begins examining the wounds, licking them clean in the instinctive primate response to injury. The juvenile is in shock, but conscious, vocalizing weakly. Asha lies on the ground, her own injuries making movement difficult. Her ribs are definitely broken. She can feel the grating sensation when she breathes. Her face is bleeding heavily. Her twins are screaming, traumatized by the violence. But she has saved the juvenile. She has crossed group boundaries to rescue an unrelated infant from a predator. This should not happen. Natural selection does not favor risking your life and your offspring's lives for strangers. But it happened, and everyone saw it happen. The stranger group's alpha female approaches Asha where she lies. The massive female examines her injuries with an expression that might be concern or might be calculation. Then she makes a vocalization, a sound that Asha has heard before, but never directed at her. It is the sound that alpha females make when accepting new members into their group. It is an invitation. Keza arrives and immediately interposes herself between Asha and the stranger alpha. There is a tense moment of confrontation. Two powerful females competing for the same valuable resource, which is Asha herself. Keza vocalizes firmly, "This individual is part of my group. You cannot claim her." The stranger alpha responds, "She saved my group's juvenile. She has earned consideration." What follows is a negotiation conducted entirely through vocalizations, gestures, and posturing. It lasts perhaps 5 minutes. The outcome is unprecedented in observed Australopithecus behavior. Both alphas agree that Asha can choose. She has agency. She can decide which group to join, or she can attempt to remain with Keza's group, as she has been. Asha, lying on the ground with broken ribs and blood on her face, makes her decision. She struggles to her feet, gathers her twins, and moves toward Keza. She chooses to stay with the group that accepted her when she was desperate. She chooses loyalty over opportunity. Keza's posture shows satisfaction. The stranger alpha shows acceptance. The negotiation is complete. Both groups begin to separate, preparing for evening foraging before darkness forces them to shelter. As Keza's group moves away from the fig tree, several members approach Asha to check her injuries, to offer grooming, to reinforce social bonds. The twins have calmed, understanding that the danger has passed. The male twin, who released his mother's body to create additional weight during the eagle attack, watches everything with those intense, curious eyes. That evening, as the group settles into their sleeping trees, a cluster of large acacias that provide decent protection from nocturnal predators, Asha climbs slowly, her broken ribs making every movement agony. She finds a wide branch that will support her and the twins. As darkness falls, the twins nurse briefly and then fall asleep, exhausted by the day's drama. Asha does not sleep immediately. She watches the stars appear in the darkening sky, those same stars that have watched her species' entire existence, that will watch for millions of years as her descendants slowly transform into something new. She does not understand stars, cannot comprehend the vast distances and times they represent. But she looks at them, and she feels something. It is not thought, it is not language, but it is awareness. Awareness that she is alive, that her twins are alive, that they survived the impossible. Awareness that she made choices, difficult, painful choices, and those choices had consequences. Awareness that she is part of something larger than herself, part of a group, part of a species struggling to survive in a world that wants them dead. The male twin makes his questioning sound one more time before fully sleeping. Asha touches his head gently, a gesture of comfort, of connection. The female twin sighs in her sleep and presses closer. All three of them, scarred, injured, traumatized, but alive, rest together in the tree. Below them, the Pliocene night unfolds. Predators hunt. Prey dies. The cycle continues. But in this tree, on this branch, three individuals who should be dead are instead sleeping. Three individuals who faced 72 hours of hell and emerged changed but unbroken. The 72 hours are long over, but their consequences, the neural rewiring, the behavioral adaptations, the social bonds formed through shared trauma, those will persist. Those will be passed down, not through genetics, but through learning, through culture, through the slow accumulation of survival wisdom that transforms species over deep time. Somewhere in this moment, in these three sleeping primates, is the seed of everything humans will become. The cooperation, the courage, the stubborn refusal to surrender in the face of overwhelming odds, the willingness to help, even at personal cost, the capacity to choose loyalty over self-interest. It is all here, in primitive form, waiting for 3 million years of refinement. Waiting for the moment when these impulses will be joined by language, by abstract thought, by moral reasoning, by all the cognitive tools that will transform instinct into ethics. But those tools do not exist yet. In this moment, there is only survival. Only the next breath, the next day, the next challenge. And in facing those challenges, these small primates are writing a story they cannot read, building a future they cannot imagine. The stars wheel overhead, the night predators hunt, and in a tree in East Africa, 3.7 million years before the present, three individuals sleep. Their dreams, if they dream, filled with running and danger and the desperate struggle to see another dawn. They will see that dawn, and the dawn after that, and the one after that, because that is what survivors do. They survive. 3 million years later. In a laboratory in the 21st century, a paleoanthropologist examines a fossil. It is a partial cranium of Australopithecus afarensis, approximately 3.7 million years old, recovered from deposits in the Afar region of Ethiopia. The specimen shows unusual features, evidence of healed fractures on the left orbital ridge, suggesting facial trauma that was survived. The cranial capacity is within normal range for the species, but there are subtle differences in the structure of the frontal lobe, the region associated with decision-making and social cognition. The paleoanthropologist makes notes, hypothesizes about the trauma, about the survival, about what this individual's life might have been like. The notes will be published in a journal article that perhaps 300 specialists will read. The fossil will be cataloged and stored, one data point among thousands in the effort to understand human origins. The paleoanthropologist does not know, cannot know, that this fossil is Asha, cannot know about 72 hours in the savannah, cannot know about twins who should have died, cannot know about the moment when an individual primate chose to go back, to risk everything, to refuse the easy path of survival through abandonment. All of that is lost to time, erased by 3 million years of geological processes that preserve bones but not behavior, that save anatomy but not story. The paleoanthropologist sees a specimen. The specimen was a life. The life was a moment. And the moment changed everything. Because Asha's twins survived. They grew. They reproduced. Their descendants spread across Africa and eventually beyond. Somewhere in the vast branching tree of primate evolution, in the incomprehensibly complex web of genetic relationships that connects all humans, there is a line that runs through those twins. Your line, my line, every human currently alive. We are the descendants of survivors, individuals who faced impossible odds and refused to die. Individuals who cooperated when competition should have dominated. Individuals who helped when helping made no rational sense. Individuals who chose to go back, to risk everything, for reasons they could not articulate, but felt nonetheless. The capacity for love, for heroism, for self-sacrifice, these are not recent innovations. They are ancient, forged in the savannah by individuals whose names we will never know, whose stories are preserved only in the fact that we exist at all. Asha lived. Her twins lived. And because they lived, 3 million years later, a species that calls itself human can look back at a fossil and wonder what it means to be alive, to face danger, to choose courage over surrender. The fossil cannot answer, but perhaps in some way that transcends language and time, the answer is simple. It means you survive. It means you help others survive. It means you carry the future forward, even when the weight seems unbearable. It means you refuse to let go, even when every rational calculation says you should, especially then. Because survival is not just about the individual. It never was. Survival is about the connections we forge, the help we offer, the moment when we choose together over alone. That choice, made 3.7 million years ago by a small primate who had every reason to give up, echoes forward through time. It echoes in every act of courage, every moment of compassion, every time someone goes back when they could run forward. Asha could not have known that her 72 hours would matter, could not have known that her choice would ripple across deep time, would become part of the foundation upon which entire civilizations would be built. She only knew that her twins needed her, and that was enough. It is still enough. It will always be enough.